Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Sparkling Knowledge Channel. Is he a Muslim? A man once came to the learning circle of Imam Abu Hanifa, may God have mercy on his soul, and asked the great Imam whether or not his neighbor was a Muslim. He asked the Imam that if his neighbor died, if he had to wash his body, bury him, and pray the janazah prayer over him. Imam Abu Hanifa asked him, "Why do you think that he is not a Muslim?" The man replied, "My neighbor says the following 7 things, and because of this, I don't know whether or not he is still a Muslim. The first thing is that he says he has no Iman, faith in the signs of Allah that he sees. The second is that he says that he does not fear Allah. The third is that he says he does not have any hope for paradise. The fourth is that he says he does not fear the hellfire. The fifth is that when he prays, we see him praying without any bowing, ruku, or prostration, sajda. The sixth is that he says he eats meat that he already finds dead. The seventh and last statement is that he says that he doesn't like truth, haqq, and he loves corruption, chaos, fitna." The Imam smiled and looked around his circle of students and fellow scholars. He asked them, "What do you say after listening to this account? Is this man's neighbor a Muslim?" The students all looked around at one another, confident that this matter was quite easy. They looked to the senior-most student scholar of the gathering, Qadi Abu Yusuf, may God have mercy on his soul, who also had the same look on his face, that this matter was quite clear. Abu Yusuf confidently said to the Imam that the opinion of all the scholar students present was that this man was not a Muslim. Abu Hanifa smiled and asked if this was the students' final decision, and they all replied in the affirmative. The Imam remained quite pensive for a while, then he smiled and said, "Have you not heard the hadith of the Prophet, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, wherein he said, 'Think good of the believers'?" He continued and said, "If a man's faith can be divided into 100 parts, and if 99 of them are corrupt and false, and even one is sound and whole, then we look at that sound part first. Disregard the other 99 parts and consider him as a believer." He continued, "However, this case goes beyond simply just that. In fact, after hearing this man's description of his neighbor, I'm quite pleased to listen to his narration, and I wish that every believer would have a similar creed as this man's neighbor." A hush fell over the students. They thought to themselves, how could the great Imam make such a statement? How could he not only give this man excuses, but then say that every believer should have a similar creed? Abu Hanifa continued, "I will now explain to you why I have made such a statement, and tell you why that perhaps this man's creed is a model for all believers. As for the first statement, that he says he has no faith in the signs of Allah that he sees, have you not read the verse in the Quran when the Prophet Musa alayhi salam asked Allah to show him himself? And when Musa came at our appointment time, and his Lord spoke to him, he said, 'O Lord, show me thyself, so that I may look upon thee.' He said, 'You cannot bear to see me, but look at the mountain. If it remains firm in its place, then will you see me?' But when his Lord manifested his glory to the mountain, He made it crumble, and Musa fell down in a swoon. Then when he recovered, he said, "Glory be to thee, I turn to thee, and I am the first of the believers." Now Musa did not see this sign of Allah that he asked for, yet he believed. Compare this to Fir'aun, who at the moment of his drowning saw the sign of Allah and said he believed, until when drowning overtook him, he said, "I believe that there is no God but He, in whom the children of Israel believe, and I am those who submit." And then Allah said to him, "What now? And indeed you disobeyed before, and you were of the mischief makers. So here." Fir'aun saw the signs of Allah, but it was too late for him since he brought faith only after seeing. So perhaps it may be that this man is saying he has no faith in those types of signs of Allah, that when upon seeing them, it is too late for him to benefit from such a witnessing. As for the second statement, that he says he doesn't fear God now, you know that on the day of judgment Allah will have complete dominion over all things, and there is no one who can question him and his decisions and choices. He has the choice to judge with fairness and equity, or to judge without it. Yet he says that he will judge with truth and balance. And they shall be judged with truth, and they shall not be wronged. And in another place he says, "And they shall be judged with equity." So perhaps it may be that this man is saying that he doesn't fear Allah will judge without the truth and fairness, and he has full certainty that God will judge with fairness. As for the third and fourth statement, wherein he said that he has no hope for paradise and fear of hell fire, we know that both of these things are creations of Allah, and they have no power or authority to determine who will enter them and who will not. Only the one who created them has the authority to decree who will enter paradise and who will enter hellfire. Why should anyone fear hell or put their hope in paradise? So perhaps it may be that this man is saying that he doesn't fear hell or hope for paradise, since he knows that God will decide who goes where. As for the fifth thing, which is that you say that when you see him praying, he doesn't make any bowing or prostration. Now, then that the Prophet said that a believer has 6 rights over another believer. When he meets him, he should greet him. When he is sick, he should visit him. And when he invites him, he should accept the invitation. When he sneezes, he should pray for the mercy on him, whether he is present or absent. He should think only good of him, and when he dies, he should pray the funeral prayer over him. Now, when this man prays, he is only standing and not making any bows or prostration. So perhaps it may be that this man is taking part in a janazah prayer that is going on anywhere in the Muslim lands. When you see him like that, like this, we know that one does not have to be present in front of the dead body to pray the janazah prayer, as the Prophet prayed the funeral prayer of the Negus, who was in Abanesia while he was in Medina. So perhaps he is always praying the janazah prayer for any Muslim that has passed away, and therefore fulfilling his obligations. As for the sixth thing, which is that he says that he eats meat that is already dead. Now, that the Prophet said in a hadith, "Made lawful for us are 2 bloods and 2 dead meats." 2 two bloods are the liver and spleen of a lawful animal, and the two dead things are fish and locusts. A person may freely eat these if he chooses. So perhaps it may be that he is referring to dead fish or dead locusts that he finds and he eats of them. So therefore perhaps this statement is correct. As for the seventh and final thing, wherein he said that he loves fitna and hates the haqq, how is he any different from any of you in this statement? When he said that he hates the haqq, don't you recall that the Quran says, and the stupor of death will come in truth. There is no man amongst us who loves to stupor of death and does not hate it. No man in his right mind would love the stupor of death. So perhaps it may be that he, when he says he hates the truth, that he is referring to this. Now the Quran also says, indeed your wealth and your children are a fitna. There is not a man amongst us who does not love his wealth and his children. What makes him any different than us? So perhaps it may be that when he says he loves fitna, that he is in fact referring to this. You did not meet this man's neighbor or ever speak to him, yet you all anonymously agreed that he was not a Muslim. You did not think good of him after you heard these 7 things. And now that you have heard my response, perhaps this is why his creed is indeed sound, and why every Muslim should have a similar creed. Those who were present were astonished and amazed by the Imam's insight, intelligence, and wisdom. A hush fell over the students and scholars as they became silent out of respect. Imam Abu Hanifa had spoken. What else was left for them to say?